Hello and welcome everybody to our knowledge exchange on sustainable technologies for community resilience. It's really wonderful to have everyone here joining us today on this wonderful topic and with Green Action Week. And so we've got some amazing speakers today from around the world. And first up, I would like to just share a little bit about Green Action Week and this incredible campaign that this is part of. So today is around it's the community of practice that are coming together and sharing knowledge on this topic. But Green Action Week is a wider campaign. So we have our Green Action Week activity, which happens in the first week of October. And for those who are new to Green Action Week, we just want to share a little bit about it. So it's a global movement for sustainable consumption, and it's around sharing community. That's the theme. So it's around sharing knowledge and skills, resources, practical solutions, and more. And it's really about creating connection through change. So building a world where there's unity and togetherness and sharing, which creates abundance because people share what they have and then there's more for everyone. And it's around also connecting local action across the world and amplifying what's happening on the ground to everyone. And when one person does something and everyone joins together, it becomes so much more. Hannah, can you share the next slide? So, how to join Green Action Week? You can plan an activity to happen in the first week of October, and we would really recommend planning an activity that connects with your existing work and planning an activity that is around sharing community. So, that can be, as I said, sharing knowledge or skills, holding a seed swap, doing a knowledge exchange like this. This is a sharing community activity, doing a upcycling workshop, beach cleanup, whatever it is, bringing community together, sharing what you already have and building on that. But sharing, connecting it to your existing work. So it doesn't have to be something separate or new, but it's really about amplifying what you're already doing. And then you host that in the first week of October. And then share your activity and stories with the global community. So we know what you're doing or others know what you're doing. Hashtag it with hashtag at Green Action Week 2026 and hashtag sharing community, and then tag us at Green Action Week. And also email us once you've planned or thought about what you want to do this year. Email us about your activity at info@greenactionweek.org. There's more information about how to join Green Action Week on the website, and there's a starter pack there. So you can just check out Green Action Week /starter pack. We'll put the link in the chat. Um, right, and then so like I said, today is part of the sharing community, and we've got lots of webinars happening through the year. Next up is going to be a youth-led webinar from systems to self, or self to systems. And then there's also a knowledge exchange happening in September, which is from runaway to rubbish. So you can find out more about these on the website on our Community of Practice page. So I just want to quickly, while I'm on here, just add the links into the chat so that you can find out more. Also, just to say that today's webinar does have translated captions. And so you can, if you sort of are struggling to understand, please activate your translated captions. I'm going to share on the chat how you can do this. Sorry, just give me one sec. My multitasking skills are failing me as usual. Okay, and then I also just wanted to quickly share about the links to the next webinars so that you can find them. And you can register for them as well. Right, so today we have wonderful speakers from around the world where we are talking about sustainable technologies. We've got Leo Exalfiantis from MASIPAG, who is going to be talking about pharma technologies and innovations for resilient agriculture. Then we've got Fatima Abu Abbas from Consumers Lebanon in Lebanon, who's going to be discussing turning food waste into healthy innovations. Then we've got Swati Vishan from Toxic Link in India, and she's going to be talking about small technology interventions for safer e-waste recycling. And Intan Ramawanti from YLPK Nusa in Indonesia is going to be talking about helping consumers identify genuinely sustainable products. So I'm going to pass over to Leo. Take it away.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you for the kind introduction. No? Mayong adlaw. Good day, everyone from Mindanao, Philippines. Our network, Masipag, would like to express our collective gratitude to all partners for organizing this year's Green Action Week. It is our collective honor to share our collective experience. We are going to share Masipag's program, particularly the Farmers Developed and Adopted Technologies, or FDAT, which aims to strengthen local farming knowledge and provide new methods for farmers. Masipag's FDAT seeks to uplift farmers by having sovereignty in technology. Due to foreign corporate control, farmers here in the country lost space for natural creativity, resulting in stunted capabilities and limited knowledge, changes in their socio-cultural and socio-economic status. Next slide, please. So, in a country like the Philippines, where technology is being dominated and monopolized by corporate interests, coupled with government neglect, this places our nation to lag behind in terms of technology. Our mechanization is only between 2.7 to 2.8 horsepower per hectare, way below on the global average that is 4.0 horsepower per hectare, much far below compared to our neighbor countries. Thus, it is in this context that Masipag farmers are taking the lead to solve their practical needs. By empowering farmers to develop and implement their own technologies, FDAT helps reclaim their natural creativity and problem-solving skills. At the core of Masipag's FDAT is the democratic principle of technology from and for the people. Next slide, please. Now, let us discuss technology in a more specific example, the Philippine corn industry. Corn is an important crop. It is a staple here in the Philippines next to rice. The lack of effective program in our country placed Filipino farmers, especially the corn farmers, in a very precarious situation. They are highly dependent on chemicals, specifically herbicides that contains glyphosate. These herbicides are systemic and environmentally destructive. In our research that is being supported by SSNC, corn farming that uses herbicides is very risky. It resulted to 5 times higher soil loss compared to the traditional ones. Also, inefficiency in post-harvest is very telling and painful as well. Corn farmers suffered from cuts as they manually shelling their corn produce. Next slide, please. So, it is in this light that Masipag farmers formulated natural herbicide out of coconut juice. It's a byproduct, it's a waste in coconut production. And it is very common, not just here in the Philippines, and even other countries. So this is a natural herbicide. For every 16 liters of coconut juice, they mix that, or which is equivalent to one knapsack sprayer, they mix that with 3 kilos of rice and fermented for 30 days or a month. Then it can be used as spray to kill the weeds. However, despite this being very effective, we still advise farmers to use this in moderation to prevent salinity, no, of the soil. So another, Masipag farmers here in Mindanao also applied technology. As you can see in the slide, no? That's the mechanical corn sheller. It was shared by our NGO partner decades ago, which farmers now still continue to practice and produce. No? And this manual corn sheller actually resulted to a higher efficiency rate, no? Making corn shelling 10 times, at least 10 times higher compared to the manual ones, compared to the bare hands, no? If they use their bare hands. So this is very useful and effective for the farmers. Next slide. Thank you. Thus, we in Masipag believes that technology should not be expensive. Technology must be effective. And the ultimate test for technology to serve its purpose is to serve the farmers and the people. And technology, of course, that should protect our planet. Good evening and thank you for your time. Padayon.
Thank you so much. That was really amazing. And you guys do such incredible work. I'm always so blown away. And I'm especially blown away by I think you said 2,000 rice varieties that you are sort of, how do you say it? Growing, manifesting, exploring, which is just beyond me. So next up, we've got Fatima, who's going to speak to us about yeah, turning what could be waste food into a very innovative product. Over to you, Fatima.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Fatima Abu Abbas, and I'm here representing Consumers Lebanon Association. Our organization is dedicated to protecting consumers' rights, promoting food security, and advancing sustainable innovation in Lebanon. We believe that consumers are not just end users, but also active participants in shaping healthier, more sustainable societies. Today, I will share with you our work between the Green Action Week and the Fusion project that we are working, and how we are turning challenges like tomato waste into opportunity to be an innovation in our country. Next, please. As you know, Lebanon and also the other Mediterranean countries loses thousands of tons of tomatoes annually due to seasonal oversupply and perishability. This is where the Fusion project and the sustainability during the Green Action Week awareness comes in tackling food loss and waste across the Mediterranean. Consumers Lebanon contribute by engaging farmers, consumers, and also the policymakers to adapt solutions locally. Next, please. Because of that, our innovation concept is simple but powerful, because we need to transform the surplus of tomatoes into a new product, the tomato gummies. This aligns with the Green Action Week vision and about the sustainability and the sustainable consumption and community empowerment. Please, next. Now we will talk about the prototype development. We developed the prototypes using surplus tomatoes, ensuring safety, nutrition, and also the consumer appeal. This is a practical example of turning waste into value. Next, please. Because of that, after that, we did a physicochemicals analysis. So we validated the nutritional profile and the stability of the gummies through physicochemical analysis. This ensures the product is not only sustainable, but also scientifically sound. After that, we did in the next slide, you will see the sensory analysis that we tested. We tested from consumer acceptance, and also the results showed strong interest in tomato gummies, not just for children and also for adults person, so as a healthy snack alternative. This demonstrates that innovation can resonate with everyday consumers' product and consumption. In the slide 8, you will see the impact and the the impact of this innovation, that we reduce waste, and also we have a healthier snack option and a new opportunity for the SMEs in Lebanon and in Mediterranean countries as agri-food sector. As policy recommendation, we support the agri-food innovation, and we need to invest in consumer education and promote circular economy practices. And after that, I will close with a quote that tomato gummies are more than a snack. They are a bridge between the sustainability, the innovation, and also the consumer health. Through Consumers Lebanon, the Fusion Project, and Green Action Week, we show that small innovation can have a big impact. And thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about this innovation and to spread it into Consumers International and between all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima. That's amazing. I just love these gummies and they look delicious. And it's not what I would have expected. It's such an unusual idea, and I really think it's incredible to recreate waste potential, what is often seen as waste food, when in fact it's such a resource. And I love that idea in terms of Green Action Week, and that turning waste into a resource is so much part of that sharing idea as well. And I always remember something once when I was quite small and I was watching someone pick up an ironing board that someone else had thrown away, and I said to my mom, like, "Oh, someone's taking that ironing board from the rubbish," and she said, "Yes, one person's waste is another's treasure," and that's always stayed with me because it's so true. You know, every waste can actually be transformed into something that could be a treasure. Um,
Just I need to add something that
yeah.
we did the three prototype. One with sugar, the second no added sugar, and the third one was done with the stevia. So also these gummies will be for a person who have, for example, a diabetes or something like that, or didn't like to eat something with sugar.
Okay, amazing. So then, yeah, so it's much healthier because stevia is actually very healthy. So to use that as a replacement will completely, yeah, change the nutritional value. Thank you, Fatima. That was amazing to hear, and from both our speakers so far. We have another two speakers still, but first up, we want to hear from you, the audience, and the who are part of this conversation as well. Please join us on the Mentimeter. I've just put a link in the chat, and there's a QR on the screen. And I'm going to share on my side now. Oops. And ask you to share about what you hear when you hear the word technology. What comes to mind? So technology can mean different things to different people. New opportunity. Yes. Innovation. Yeah. So I mean, we have a world now where technology is more and more in our space and in so many different ways, sustainable solutions. And it can be really useful. It can also be very unhelpful as well, depending on the way we take it. And so it's nice to sort of look at it and see, like with anything, it can be a really positive thing, or it can be quite a damaging thing. So that's what we're exploring today around sustainable technology, consumers' needs, ensuring food security. So it can be used in different ways. And Excel was talking about sort of the GMO. I mean, GMO is actually a technology as well, but obviously not a particularly helpful one. And so there he was talking about the counter technology of using coconuts as a way of of dealing with what sometimes the GMO might be trying to deal with. So society empowerment, innovation to support, convenience. I think that's one of the biggest drivers of technology is convenience. And innovation is the big one here. So whenever people sort of more than one person sort of puts in a word, it gets bigger. So we can see that innovation is definitely one of the key topics that people are thinking on this. Although I see sustainability is big here as well. Effectiveness. So it can, I mean, it certainly speeds things up. It makes things more effective. And that is why there's so many more and more technological solutions out there. Let's see, where did those new words go to? Assistance. And it becomes a support and assistance. And I think if technology is used sustainably, which many of these words are pointing to, it can really be something that assists and empowers. But it's always around making something work for us rather than us work for it. New opportunities, solutions. All right. So there's a lot here that people sort of feel that around the sustainable solutions. All right. So next up, what affordable or low impact technology has made a positive difference in your community? So someone's already said around protection of food. I'd love to hear a little more about that, around what technology has actually made that positive difference. So permaculture. Yes, permaculture is incredible, and and there's also things within permaculture that obviously are quite low impact technologies that are very helpful in making differences in community. Social media. Social media is such an interesting one because again, it can have an incredible use and then also can do quite incredible harm as well if it's not used in the right way. But certainly in our impact work and in spreading the word and doing advocacy, social media is really important. And I mean, back in the day when it first came out, it was also such a I, I mean, I used to use it when I lived overseas just to keep in touch with my family and friends. And it was so new. It was such a new innovation in that time for that. Canva. Canva's also incredible as well for creating beautiful things quite easily now. And our design is very accessible. And I love that for this change making space because it's often been out of people's budgets to be able to like hire a designer to design things. Whereas now it's very accessible for everyone to make high impact, beautiful designs. Artificial intelligence. Yes, this is another one that is really big and taking the world by storm in all sorts of ways. And I think artificial intelligence is one of those ones where we have to be particularly mindful about how it's used and the power it has. Equality. So that's an interesting one that's been mentioned in terms of low impact technology. I'd love to hear more on that. Uh, Production of natural farming and production inputs. And I think MASIPAG was sort of touching on that a little bit. Google Drive, yeah, these are very useful, especially for this collaborative work. As we get more and more collaborative, these collaborative tools like Zoom, Canva, Google Drive, they're helping us to work together, and it's really, really useful. Data collection. Now, this is something actually when we had our pre-meeting that Fatima was talking about. She was talking about the data collection that they are doing there in Lebanon. And yeah, it's a very useful way in terms of if you're researching and you're wanting to understand a space and you're wanting to work out how best to use your resources. It's definitely a useful, helpful tool in technology. Okay, so I think we have one more question. So, what qualities make a technology truly sustainable? So you can rank these from the most important to the least important. So put the one that you feel is the most important at the top, and then the ones that are least important at the bottom. So you just need to reorder these. So the qualities that make technology truly sustainable. So affordable, accessible, easy to repair or easy to maintain. Okay, so the top one currently is environmentally friendly. And next up is accessible and affordable, community owned, locally made, and then creates local livelihoods. Okay, so now it's shifted a little bit. Environmentally friendly is still at the top, and easy to repair or maintain is currently at the bottom. So rank what you feel is the most important to the least important. And obviously all of these are actually quite important for sustainable technology. So it's not that one thing is less, but it's also around, I think, where one is. You know, number two is currently accessible and number three affordable. And you know, in the global south, it's a big thing. You know, when we talk about sustainable consumption, it's not about how do we buy less when people already don't have enough, which if you talk about the global north, it's very much about how to, you know, how to get people to buy less because there's too much consumption. Whereas in the global south, how do we do more with less? And accessibility is a very big key on that, or a very big a key feature. Affordable, community owned. So it seems that generally people have a similar feeling in terms of environmentally friendly is the most important quality for truly sustainable technology. Then accessibility, affordability, community owned, locally made, creates local livelihoods, can be shared and is open source, and then easy to maintain. All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone to give your input on that. I'm going to stop sharing this now. And I am going to ask Hannah to share the next slide and welcome Swati Bishan from Toxic Link, who's going to speak to us about small scale technology for sustainable e waste livelihoods. Over to you, Swati.
Thank you. So, this is a very interesting project, and throughout my presentation, I would more focus on what kind of learnings we have gained throughout this particular project and how this small scale intervention actually help us to focus on different pillars of sustainable development. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So, before we talk about that, what kind of technology we have introduced, I would like to just have a basic background with respect to this project, because you know, when we talk about that, okay, this technology actually work in this particular community and it improved their livelihood or it improved the environment, it is very very important to understand that how we you know, came to this conclusion that this technology will basically going to work in this particular area or with this particular community. So, this is a project that we are currently doing, and it's an ongoing project that we are doing right now. So, the very first thing that we did is, so when we first entered the community where we wanted to work with, we never go there with a predefined solution or a technology in our mind. Instead, we actually had a very simple questions that we listed down and wanted to try to find an answer behind those questions. The very first question was that what was the challenges that these e-waste workers are basically facing every day. Second question that was there in our mind was to understand that what are the major challenges that really matters to them the most, right? And third was that what kind of technical expertise we may offer them that can bring a meaningful differences. Now, to get the answer of these questions, it was very very important to work with community and have a lot of time with the community that we did. So what we did is we did a lot of field observations. We you know, very frequently went to the field, took our considerable time there, and interacted with our workers, with their families, with the local leaders, and different multiple stakeholders. Now, this conversation that we were doing at that point of time was to understand that what is their livelihood and how and what aspirations they have and the constraints they have with respect to the e-waste work that they are doing right now. Now, after identifying their challenges, we understood that these challenges are basically interconnected with each other, right? On the one hand, when they are doing the open burning to do a wire stripping, then also this particular kind of practice is also impacting their health, right? Because they are exposed to these toxic fumes every single day. They are having all these injuries and different kinds of disorders, right? And even after sitting for so many hours, almost like a 10 to 12 hours every day, they are making just around 120 to 150 Indian rupees, which is too less. So we understood that if we will introduce a technology that has a better adaptability within the community, we can address these three different kind of challenges that they are facing, which are interconnected and focusing on all the three pillars of sustainable development. So therefore, what I want to say is that when you are thinking about to introduce a technology, it is very, very important for you to design the technology with the community and not for the community, right? Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. Now, the next step we did is we designed that sustainable intervention, as I mentioned, what we have done previously. The previous slide, please. I think you went a little ahead. The previous one. Sure, let me just continue. Next one. Designing a sustainable intervention. So what we did is, so once we have understood their problem, slide number 3, okay? So when we have understood this entire problem, it was important to understand that what impact our technology will bring, what is our outcomes, what is output, and what are the indicators that we want to have to measure the success that we are trying to bring through this particular technological intervention. Now, for which we have made a theory of change and did our entire literature work to understand our impact. Second, we mapped the stakeholders to understand what kind of impact they have and what kind of influence they have within that particular community. So the impact influence matrix was being developed. And then the third step that we found is to have a resource mobilization, because when you want to introduce a technology, it's very, very important to have a continuous resources with you so that the financial needs can be meet up. So this was the third step that we did. And the fourth one is finally to focus on sustainability. So when we introduced the technology, it was to ensure that we are not making the community donor dependent, but we are introducing a technology that stays with the community even if we withdraw from that particular area, right? Next slide. It's okay. The slides are not going accordingly. So what we have introduced. So based on our finding, okay, can I get the command of the slides, or can I just tell you it's slide number 4 that we have to be here right now? This is, yeah, this is 1, this is 2, and we have 3, and then we have 4. Yeah, here, right now. Thank you. So then what we introduce? So we basically introduce a very small machinery, a simple manual wire stripping machine for these e-waste women workers, right? Now, even if this technology was very simple, it does has an impact which is significant on them, because this particular machine was addressing their local needs, because we understood that there were power cuts continuously in this region. So therefore, introducing something which is run with electricity and based on electricity is not going to help them, because during those power cut hours, it will be possible that their work get hampered and they again shift back to their prior practices, which is hazards in its nature. So therefore, to address this particular thing, we just simply introduce a manual wire stripping machine. Now, also knowing the fact that the community we are working is living in very small premises, which is of a very small area. So therefore, we cannot introduce a larger machines because they do not probably have that space to hold those machines in their households. So we have to introduce something which is handy, simple, and they can carry from one place to another place very easily, right? Now, how our implementation approach actually work for us. So here we have basically first did an entire baseline survey where we try to identify who will be our potential beneficiaries and what kind of beneficiaries we have, right? And also to understand that this particular community, what kind of financial strengths they have, what is their current practices. Because in the pilot study, we understood the entire problem from a outer layer, but it was very important that before identifying that this is the technology we need to introduce, we need to have a very deep kind of understanding of the community's needs, right? The next was, now we did not started with distributing the technology or machine among the workers. No, this is not how we did it. What we did is we first hand given those technologies to the community to just mere get the training about it, for which we basically in our local project office introduced a co-working space model where we kept a few tables and kept our machines there, and we used to just call the community and use the machine for their purpose and to understand that how the machines function, so that they get the confidence and faith that whether they want to opt for the technology or not, and to take their feedbacks continuously so that we can introduce something which is more meaningful to them, right? Now the next thing is that we understood that the community requirements. So we understood the community coming from a very marginalized section of the society, and they are very vulnerable. So therefore we focused on cost sharing model, because it was very important for us to not to introduce some freebie kind of policy, kind of schemes for them, but we wanted to have a ownership model with them. So therefore we decided to have a certain amount of contribution within the community, from the community, for this particular technological intervention, so that even for a longer period of time they feel like that they own this particular technology. It's not something that has been given to them in a free. So even if they are having a little discomfort in prior using of the technology, because it's new for them, and might be they are not as fast in this use of this technology as they are doing it very manually, because they are doing it for 20 years. So therefore it was very important to create a ownership among the community. So therefore we introduced a cost sharing model, and even after distribution of machine we did not withdraw from them. We understood that we need an intense capacity building with the community. Trainings were being provided. We completely did a monitoring progress, and we completely used to take a feedback, a follow-up visits, to understand that what is the need of the community even after giving them a technology, right? Because our objective was not just to make sure that the community adopts the technology, but it was also to create a community ownership where the intervention even continue and benefit people independently over the time, even when we withdraw from that particular phase, right? Next slide, please. Yeah. So, the idea to action is that whenever you want to introduce any technology, this is these are the things that we have always have to kept in mind. From a social perspective, I would say that you have to encourage the community to participate, right? You have to create a leadership, and at the every stage of the implementation, you have to create a local ownership, a community ownership in the project. Second is economically. Any technology that you are introducing, it is very, very important to have a investment model that has been already creates. And in our case, we have created an investment model that have actually created a great ownership among the community, that have improved not just their earning opportunities, but also their operational costs. It reduced because of our technological intervention. And third is the environmental, you know environmentally, we have to make our technology more sustainable, because sustainable development has all these three pillars, and equally all of them are very, very important. So by introducing this particular machine, we actually replaced their unsafe wire stripping method where they used to do the open bundings, and we have improved their stripping, wire stripping method through this manual, simple machine, which also help us to do a resource conservation that was lost earlier. So any technology or any intervention that we are ever want to introduce among the community, it is very, very important that it focuses on the multiple dimensions of sustainable development simultaneously, so that it stays with the community for a longer period of time. Next slide, please. Yeah, so how's our experience so far, so can I have the next slide? I think I've covered this one. Yeah, thank you. So what's our experience from this particular project that we have done is, number one, that the community will be willing to adopt any new technology if they see a clear economical benefits out of it. Because when we are introducing these kind of technologies to a vulnerable section, there's a very famous speech of a former Prime Minister of India, Miss Indira Gandhi, and she always said that the poverty is the biggest polluter. So when you are introducing any technology, it is also very important to understand that that technology actually improves the economical benefits or livelihood of the community, so that they stays with that technology for a longer period of time. Second is that the technology alone cannot drive a change. Continuous training, technical support is equally important. And this is what we have learned, and we are actually doing on our projects as well. Cost sharing model is significantly increase our ownership among the community, and it actually bring a tent among the people to value and to maintain that asset that has been given to them, right? Because they feel that they have invested by themselves. And the last one is that collective ownership and operational model can actually encourage and bring a enthusiasm, which has also happened with us in this current project, that women are very enthusiastic about adopting this technology, right? Last slide, please. So what we have learned so far from this entire work that we have done is, first, listen before you design. Carefully listen who is your beneficiaries, understand their needs, and then develop any technological intervention. Number two is, technology must meet the need of local people. Third is, partnership make implementation possible. So therefore, the stakeholder mapping was being done, and it really helped us, because we understood that who will be our partners, what role which partner will have in this project, and that really helped us to actually implement this project really well. And finally, the community ownership is what make this project really sustainable for a longer period of time, right? So with all this learning, I would just like to conclude that small technologies can create a larger transformation when they are community driven, they are context specific, and designed with sustainability at their core. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Swati. That is amazing. It's such a powerful project that you've done, and I just really love um, how integrated within the community that you've been in terms of coming up with a solution, and that you've brought them along all the way, and made it community owned as well, which is it just makes it powerful the whole way through and into the future, and makes it very sustainable as well. So this is like such a true example of sustainable technologies, because it's not just about the technology being sustainable and it about it being sustainability in terms of like e-waste, recycling and repair, but actually the project itself is sustainable, which I love. So thank you so much for sharing about it. There's so much we can all learn from you. All right. So next we hand over to Intan, who is going to speak to us around greenwashing in the marketplace. All right,
Okay, thank
Intan, over
you.
to you.
Okay, thank you, Natalie, for my opportunity. After the previous speaker present about innovative technology, it's my turn to speak about normative perspective about technology sustainable, maybe. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. By Western Indonesian times, my name is Intan Nur Rahmawanti, and tonight I will representing from LPKSM or Nusa NGO or Nusa organization from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Today, I'm pleased to present on our topic about protecting consumer from greenwashing in online marketplace. You know all that as digital commerce continues to grow rapidly, we are seeing a massive rise in products market as eco-friendly, sustainable, or green. However, not all of these claims are genuine. Many consumers are being misled by deceptive marketing, a practice known as greenwashing. In this presentation, I will discuss how greenwashing manifests on online spaces, the specific challenge consumers face when trying to make truly sustainable choice, and the critical role that consumer protection organization like LPKSM called in Indonesia play in advocating for transparency, stricter regulation, and fair digital marketplace. Let's dive into how we can better protect and empower consumer in the green transition. Maybe next slide, please. Okay. Now, maybe some people asking what is the greenwashing? Uh, so greenwashing, to understand this concept clearly, let's look a prominent real world example shown here on the slide. That there are Coca-Cola live campaigns. As you can see from the imagery, the brand completely shifted its iconic packaging from its signature red to a vibrant green. They utilize backdrops of natural, less greeny and prominently taglines like sweetness from natural source and lower calorie. By framing the product with this specific visual and textual cues, the marketing heavily implies that this beverage is environmentally friendly, wholesome, and a green choice. However, this is a classic example of greenwashing. While it may use stevia or have slightly fewer calories, it remains a mass-produced sugary soft drink in single-use packaging. The green branding serves primarily to distract consumer from the company broader environmental footprint and the actual nature of the product. This illustrates exactly that greenwashing is the practice of making misleading or unsustainable claims to create an illusion of environmental responsibility. Next slide, please. Now that we understand that greenwashing let's look at the direct impact. How does greenwashing affect consumer? On this slide, you can see an image of an H&M consist tag. It uses a bright green label and claims 100% organic cotton, directing consumers to a website to read more. The example highly a major issue when fast fashion brand or any companies use prominent green text and fake sustainability lines. It triggers several negative consequences for consumer, of course. First, it creates confusion and deception. Well-meaning consumers genuinely want to support ethical brand, but they are misled into buying product that may not be as environmentally friendly as the marketing claim. Second, it breeds skepticism and distrust. When consumers discover they have been misled, they lose faith in all environmental claim. This skepticism make it incredibly difficult for genuinely sustainable ethical business to build some trust and survive in the market. Finally, it is the burden of proof onto the buyer. Instead of brands being transparent, consumers are forced to spend time and effort researching and investigating whether a green claim is real or just another marketing. And next, please. So, what is driving this rise in greenwashing? Let's look the factor behind the trend of green product in online marketplace. First, we must acknowledge a massive shift in consumer behavior. Today, more than 70% of global consumer actively want and prefer to buy eco-friendly product. There is a genuine growing desire to protect our planet and people are voting with their wallets. Secondly, online marketplace recognize this shift. To capture this booming market, platform have introduced specific text and label such as choice, green, or eco-friendly, as you can see highlight in the image on the slide above. These tags are designed to make it easily for consumers to filter and find sustainable option. However, this creates a major vulnerability because these green labels are highly attractive to buyer. They also become a prime target for misuse without strict verification. Any seller and can claim their product in green just to get that highly visible tag, boost their sales, and tap into consumer goodwill. This gap between consumer demand and marketplace verification is precisely where greenwashing thrives. And then next, as consumer and advocates, we are frequently see brand trying to appeal to our environmental values. However, many of these claims are misleading. Here are five major red flags to watch out for about greenwashing. First, watch over for all natural claim with no proof. Just because a product claims to be natural doesn't mean it is. Without independent verification or an ingredient breakdown, it's often just marketing. Second, be skeptical of eco-friendly. Label that offer no explanation, a generic eco label without any detail on why or how the product helps the environmental is a classic greenwashing tactic. Third, remember that green packaging does not equal a sustainable product. Companies often use earthly tones, cardboard texture, or image of leaves to trick our brains into associating the product with nature, even if the item inside is highly toxic or non-recyclable. Fourth, look closely at carbon neutral. Claim made without detail. If a company claims carbon neutrally but doesn't disclose their emission data, reduction strategies, or the quality of their offset, they aren't being transparent. And finally, beware of the sustainable brand that still sells harmful product. A company cannot truly call itself sustainable if its core business more relies on the mass production of environmentally damaging goods. And then, next slide, please. We turn our attention to the global regulatory landscape. The day of treating greenwashing as a simple public relation risks are over. Today, it is a major legal financial liability as government worldwide draw hard lines around sustainable claims. If we look at Europe, the shift is massive. The European Union empowering consumers for the green transition directive takes full effect this September. It completely bans fake generic claim like eco-friendly, green, and sustainable. And then in Indonesia, does not yet have a single dedicated anti-greenwashing law. Instead, the practice is combat through a combination from consumer protection laws, environmental management regulation, and financial reporting standard that penalize misleading marketing and false sustainability claim. By the consumer protection law in Indonesia, there are 5 year penalty to 5 year in prison and maximum fine 2 billion rupiah. And then after that, for the environmental law, there are enforced eco-labeling standard and product making environmental claims. Biodegradable should be backed by legitimate state recognized eco-label and independent third-party certification. And by financial regulation in Indonesia, it's regulated by financial authority that's service institution issue and public companies to implement sustainable finance and public disclose their sustainability report. And then in North America, the focus has heavily its combination about from any country, ya. In England, the UK is taking all equally aggressive stance. The Competition and Market Authority can now directly fine companies up to 10% of their global turnover for misleading green claim without even needing to go to court. And in North America, the focus has heavily shifted toward accountability and data. In the US, the SEC or Security and Exchange Commission expand name rule is forcing ASG, sustainable green social responsibility, and thematic investment fund to strictly align their actual holding with their marketing titles. Meanwhile, regulatory bodies are actively auditing green bond disclosure and supply chain transparency. The ultimate impact by expanding the name role, the power dynamic from marketing department to complicate officer, it forced asset manager to either fundamentally restructure their portfolio to ensure 80% compliance, strip the ESG and green wording completely out of their fund titles to avoid massive fines or face severe regulatory penalties communities for greenwashing. Next slide, please. Now let's go step back and look at the macro picture.
Intan,
What?
if we have 1 minute left, because we are
One
reaching the
minute.
end of
Okay.
the webinar.
Okay, ultimately, this global framework isn't just about policing bad marketing. It's about leveling by playing the field by establishing clear, legally binding rules. We protect consumers, reward authentic, sustainable innovation, and finally build a market where green claims actually mean nothing. For the conclusion is protecting consumer from greenwashing is online in online marketplace is no longer just an idealistic environmental goal. It has become an urgent legal, regulatory, and operational imperative. But in the real power of this transition lies in transparency by equipping our communities with digital literacy, empowering investigative media, and backing it up with verifiable life cycle data. We are not just policy bad marketing, we are rebuilding trust. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Intan. That's really important information that you're sharing. I mean, greenwashing is such an issue, and consumers are being by it all the time. So the work that you're doing is really, really key. And it's on each and every one of us to actually look behind the labels and to see that something really is sustainable and not just because a corporate said it is and it's good for their bottom line, but actually what is the product really, is it really sustainable is the question. I'm going to hand over to Hannah now, who's going to speak about the youth-led webinars.
Thank you, Natalie, and I'll keep it brief as I see we've already gone over our time, but I want to just thank all the speakers for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us on this topic. So we've had two youth-led webinars this year. The first was Alternative Ways of Being, which took place in March, which was focused on individual impact. The second was Young Changemakers in Action that took place in June, and that was about collective action. Our final webinar for the year is on the topic of from self to system. So it's looking at the connection between individual impact and community impact. And that's taking place on the 12th of August. I hope to see all of you there. I think it's going to be a really impactful session. Thank you, Nat.
Thanks, Hannah. And yes, looking forward to seeing you at the next Community of Practice event, which Hannah's just shared about. And I just want to say thank you so much to the speakers who've all come and shared their time and their expertise and their knowledge. And it's a real gift that this sharing community has where people offer that. Just out of their hearts, which I so appreciate, because I know everyone's very busy, but you're doing such incredible things that it's so wonderful to share and to learn from each other. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions today, but I myself have questions, and I'm sure many people in the audience do as well. And so, if you are in the Green Action Week community, then you're on the group. Please ask the questions, and the speakers will answer. Because everyone's in this together. And if you are not yet part of the Green Action Week community of practice, firstly, join Green Action Week this year. I'm going to share the link to the website in the chat. And you're very welcome to email us at info@greenactionweek.org. And if you do have any questions for any of the speakers, we will pass it on to them. And yeah, I just want to take this moment to really celebrate this sharing experience that we're having today, and how so much is happening on the ground, and how each of these acts that pull together creates such a movement, and a movement for change and hope and inspiration. And I look forward to connecting with you all again on the next Knowledge Exchange on the 18th of September. And I will just do a little closeout video and say thank you so much and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.